Good to see you. I'm Bruce DelMonico, Assistant Dean for Admissions at the Yale School of Management.
I'm Laurel Grodman, also Assistant Dean for Admissions at the Yale School of Management and at Yale College and Yale SOM as well.
So thank you again for being here. The purpose of our session today, we would love to share a little bit more about Yale SOM, the mission, the values, a little bit about what makes the community so special, and then obviously have time for any of your questions and share more information beyond that. I'd love to. I'm in the MBA program. Laurel is in both the MBA and the Asset Management program. So this session will talk mostly about the MBA program. And then there will be another session later this afternoon about asset management for those who are interested. But just to kick things off, when we talk about the Yale School of Management, make sure, there we go. We start with a mission to educate leaders for business and society. This was the founding mission of the institution, and it really animates and informs just about everything that happens at the school. It's means many different things. But it's a broad multi-sector mission, and we really do, among other things, we really do aspire for our graduates to have impact not just in the private sector, but the public and nonprofit sectors as well. And you'll see if you look at our alumni network that is very much the case. When you come to Yale as a student, that mission will influence your experience in a few different ways. And we want to talk about three key ways in which the mission will inform and influence your experience as a Yale SOM student. There we go, smooth.
Thanks, Bruce. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is our integration with the broader Yale University community. So when you join the Yale School of Management, you're truly joining the broader Yale University community and all the opportunities and privileges that come with that. And that takes place both inside and outside the classroom. So inside the classroom, in your second year of your MBA studies, where you'll take elective courses, you can take those courses in any classroom, in any quantity throughout the entire university. So if you have an interest in learning another language, you can take language courses at Yale College. If you have an interest in health and biotech, you can take courses at the Yale School of Public Health, or if you have an interest in sustainability, you have access to the Yale School of the Environment. So all of that is open to you to design your own curriculum that incorporates many, many different perspectives and disciplines throughout the university. We also have, I believe now, 10 joint degree programs. So you're actually able to pursue a program with the Yale School of Management and one of the partner schools, whether it's the law school, again, the School of Public Health, the Environment, our Jackson School, which focuses on global affairs. And even if you are not one of those joint degree students, it's incredibly valuable for you to be sitting next to one of them in your classrooms, because they're bringing the perspective of someone who's studying a different subject matter really, really deeply, even to your management courses. But your access to the university expands beyond just the classroom. You have an opportunity to collaborate and experience and learn and socialize with students and faculty from across the university. That could be through our Center for Innovative Thinking at Yale, our entrepreneurial hub for the entire university. So if you're interested in starting a business during the time you're at Yale, you can get connected with different students and faculty and members of the community from any part of Yale through the City Center. Our students participate in cross-collaboration with students from other schools on things like the Yale Healthcare Conference. So that's actually the largest student-run conference throughout all of Yale, and it's a collaboration between the Yale School of Management, the medical school, and the School of Public Health. So lots of opportunities and just more social opportunities to engage with people from across the university. And again, that feeds back into our mission, because we believe a business education needs to be multidisciplinary, and there's so much you can learn within the confines of the Yale School of Management and the sorts of courses and faculty research that we do there. But we have an entire university at our fingertips that we're also able to leverage to give you a really complete and comprehensive business education. The second sort of major theme I'll touch upon that draws back to our mission is our distinctively global nature. So we believe in order to be a leader for business and society, you need to have a truly global perspective and be able to think about business and society in a truly global way. And the way in which we do this, so many business schools have some sort of global component, and often it takes the form of a partnership with a university or an entity abroad. We actually took this a step further and established what we call the Global Network for Advanced Management. And this is a network partnership of currently 33 top business schools across the globe. And what that does is it gives you access to students, faculty, and staff in a range of different business hubs. And the global network really serves as the fuel for what we call our options for the global studies requirement. So as part of your Yale SOM experience, you'll have at least one deep global engagement. And several of the options for that engagement leverages the global network schools within it. So just a few examples of what this could look like. The international experience courses are a half semester long course that are in conjunction with a faculty member that culminates in a trip to an international business hub where you'll meet with business leaders, governmental leaders, and really get immersed in that particular geography and culture. Our global network weeks are through our global network schools. So these are week-long learning experiences that take place a couple of times a year. In fact, we just had our fall global network week. And probably maybe about a third of the global network schools will host a week in any given segment of the year. And those are open to business school students throughout the global network. So you may be sitting in a classroom in one of our global network schools that we just visited, actually, was Fudan. So you may be sitting in a classroom in Fudan with a couple of other Yale students, but primarily students from across the globe, and giving you an opportunity to learn, again, from a really global set of individuals. We have experiential options. Our global social entrepreneurship course is an option to put some of your management skills into practice in more of a consulting format. So lots of different ways in which to fulfill this requirement. I always laugh a little bit to call it a requirement. I actually think it's one of our students' favorite aspects of the program. But we, in fact, give each of our students a global studies account to fund this requirement. And so lots of our students will go abroad at least one, if not more times during their SOM education. I'll hand it back over to you.
And I just want to talk about the last thing that we wanted to discuss that I feel is distinctive about the Yale SOM experience, and that really kind of stems from the mission, which is our integrated curriculum. You'll get a sense of theme that we've been that's common among the things we're talking about: our integration, interdisciplinary, and working across functions and across roles. And so our curriculum is actually another example of that. And we feel it is something that really helps educate our students to be uniquely effective leaders for the 21st century. So you might know about this already, but unlike most traditional MBA curricula, which are organized by functions and are kind of structured by discrete silos like finance and marketing and operations, the MBA curriculum at Yale is actually organized much differently. It's organized by organizational perspectives. And the idea is that to be an effective leader now, you need to really have a much better picture, sense of the big picture. Much broader perspective than you did, say, 50 or 60 years ago when most MBA curricula were first introduced. So most other schools are teaching using that traditional method. We are teaching a lot of the same concepts. So you will still be learning, discounted cash flow analysis and weighted average cost of capital and those types of things. But you will understand the context in which those are used, and sometimes the different ways in which those are used in different contexts, and looking at the stakeholders that you need to engage as a leader to be effective. So again, the idea is that for this to be much more multidisciplinary, much more integrated than traditional MBA curricula. And the idea is for you to then be able to be a much more effective leader after you graduate, because you can make those connections that others won't be able to. So just to give a sense of how this works, one example we talk about is sourcing and managing funds, which is essentially the CFO function. That's one of the stakeholder perspectives that you will learn in the core curriculum at Yale. And it's not just finance. Obviously, the CFO needs to know finance, but you also will learn about strategy, operations, accounting, other disciplines that are relevant to be an effective CFO beyond just the finance piece. And again, this will allow you to have much more impact after you graduate, because you see how the connections that you need to make across these different functions. Another example we sometimes give is, or that I sometimes give at least, is the competitor, which is essentially the equivalent of a marketing class in other schools, but instead of just marketing, you're learning, again, HR, operations, finance, and other disciplines that are relevant to be effective in that role. So did I say competitor? I meant customer, excuse me, apologize. So the customer is sort of analogous to the marketing role. Couple of quick things about the organizational perspectives class. Because it's interdisciplinary, you're going to be learning concepts that are outside of strict business kind of material. So you'll be learning not just business concepts, but also psychology, sociology, political science, law, the environment, other disciplines that are relevant to your work in whatever it is you end up going into. And you will, as a result, you will be seeing not just SOM faculty members, but faculty members from other parts of Yale University. So similar to the idea that you can take electives outside of SOM, and you will have students from other parts of the university in your SOM classes, faculty will also be in your SOM classes from outside other parts of the university. So I think that's an important part of the experience as well. I want to touch on just briefly, many of you who are here have already graduated from your undergraduate institution and are in the workplace now. We do have some SOM students who apply to the school from their undergraduate experience. So in the last year of undergraduate, to join us immediately, you typically graduate in the spring, join us immediately in the fall. This is called our Silver Scholars Program. So if you are in undergraduate still and are thinking about an MBA, this is one path that can accelerate that journey. So you would, again, some other schools in the US have what's called a deferred admission program, where you apply in your final year of undergraduate, work for a few years, and then begin your MBA. This is different. This is starting immediately after you graduate from your undergraduate. You do your first year, a core curriculum in the MBA. You then have an extended 1-year professional experience. It can be extended beyond that, 1 to 5 years. And then you would come back after that for your second year of the MBA, which was your electives. And as Laurel said, you're taking these entire second year's electives. You take that anywhere at the university. The idea is to accelerate your MBA path. You can graduate in anywhere from sort of 3+ years, or as few as 3 years, with your MBA going through the Silver Scholars Program. So I just wanted to mention that as a unique feature of the Yale SOM MBA program. I'll hand it back again.
Great. So we'd be remiss to talk about the Yale SOM experience without talking about the community. So much of what we're focused on up until now is about your classroom experience, but there's so much that happens outside of that classroom as well. There are so many rich traditions and opportunities throughout the school year to engage with your classmates in different ways, and even beyond the time that you're at SOM. So I've been able to appreciate, as an alumna of the school, how close-knit and powerful that network is, even after the time that you've graduated. These are lifelong friends that you'll make during your time at SOM, and there's so many traditions to pick from. But one that we were actually just talking about recently, given the time of year, is a tradition that developed after the time I was a student, but I almost wish was there when I was a student. The American holiday of Thanksgiving is coming up later in November. And so because we have so many students coming from all over the world, many who may not celebrate Thanksgiving in their own in their own home countries, we've developed a tradition known as Friendsgiving. So it's an opportunity for anyone in the school to come and participate in a traditional Thanksgiving dinner with their new Yale SOM friends. And it's just really a lovely tradition to see the entire school sort of laid out with these long tables and everyone sort of eating and drinking and enjoying themselves together. It's a really kind of special and I think very memorable. And there's all kinds of traditions built into the experience throughout the year. So just a little bit about who is the Yale SOM MBA class. So this is the most recent class that we welcomed this fall, 367 students, which is actually our biggest class to date. And typically our class is around 350 students. And as you can see, the incoming class was 44% women, 41% international students. That's actually a really high percentage for most US business schools. We're really proud of our international community and what that perspective brings to the community as a whole. 15% underrepresented students of color for US students. And then access is a really important concept for us as well. You'll see we had 17% of our class who were the first in their family to go to college. And so opening up that Yale experience to a broad array of students is very important to us. Mentioned, we have joint degree programs with a variety of different schools within Yale. We had 23 of those students in our cohort last year, 24 Silver Scholars. So that was the program that Bruce mentioned for students coming directly from college, 19 US military, and so on. And you can also see just some, gives a sense of the academic profile for the class as well. All right, pass it back over to Bruce.
Yeah, happy to talk a little bit about the application process. I assume those of you who are here are interested in applying either this cycle or in the future. We have some who've already applied, so you can tune out and just ignore this next section. You've already done this part. But for those of you who are thinking about applying, wanted to talk a little bit about the application process. And obviously, we have just a couple more slides, and then we'll open up for questions. But those, Laurel and I are in admissions. When we're looking at who to bring into the community at Yale, broadly speaking, we're looking at three things: your academic preparation for the program, your professional potential, and your community contribution, what you will bring to our community, and then your whatever community you join afterwards, and certainly as an alumnus or alumna. So gauging your academic preparation, we are looking, at your, these are things that other schools obviously are looking at as well: your transcripts and your test scores, GMAT or GRE. We look at those in combination, and they're also informed by one of our elements that happens after you hit the submit button, which is the behavioral assessment, which we can talk more about. But that is an instrument we've developed with ETS. They're the organization that runs the GRE. We've worked with them to adapt this assessment to inform our assessment of your evaluation of your academic preparation for the program. So it's not an EQ or a soft skills assessment. It really works with your transcripts, your academic record, and your test scores to give us a sense of your academic preparation. We could talk more about it, but it's a forced choice test. It's 130 paired statements where you go through, and there are 2 statements about a person, and you choose which one is most like you. And you go through those quickly. It takes about 20 minutes after you submit the application. I know you're nodding, all 3 of you went through that, hopefully it was okay. It's a little bit different than what other schools might have, but we use it only in limited circumstances where someone has a maybe more modest academic profile, their grades and test scores are a little more modest, and it can give us more comfort in their ability to perform in the classroom. So it allows us to actually expand the scope of the pool that we're able to consider for admission. So that's the first piece, is academic preparation, just to make sure everybody is not going to be first in their class, but we want to make sure everybody's able to keep up and be effective in the classroom. We're also measuring your professional potential, so your potential to have professional impact after you graduate. And we look at your resume, actually, obviously what you've done beforehand, your letters of recommendation. So not just what you've said about what you plan to do and how you perform, but how others are perceiving you. And I think to some degree, the video questions, which I'll talk about in a second, but we're really looking to see that to the extent you have gained experience, obviously we have our Silver Scholars who don't have full-time professional experience, but to the extent you've gained experience, that you've performed at a high level. We're actually less interested in the number of years you've been working or the field you've been working in. We want that diverse background of those across those dimensions, but really that you've been performing at a high level, that you have you've been that we're bringing people who have a level of excellence in what they've been doing. And then the last thing is the community contribution. We want to get a sense of how you will be as a community member. As Laurel said, we're on the smaller side, 367 for the current first-year class. It's typically, in the 340s or so. So smaller than many other top MBA programs in the US, intentionally so. What that means, the size, and I think plus the mission means we bring in students come here who really want to be engaged, want to contribute, want to be part of the community. And so, and you'll find that no one at SOM is anonymous. Everybody's doing something. Everyone's leading a club or being involved, doing something in the New Haven community. And so getting a sense that you have that inclination, that habit of engagement that we feel will translate well to us at the school and then beyond as an alumnus or alumna. And we look at, throughout your application, all the different elements, including, your sort of activities and other things that aren't on this slide to gauge that. I would also say that I mentioned the behavioral assessment. One other somewhat unique feature of our application are the video questions. Those happen after you submit your application. You have a few days along with the behavioral assessment to complete the video questions. Those are 2 questions we've pre-recorded. They're we have a pool of questions. They're randomly, you'll randomly get 2 of them that you would then answer in real time using a webcam, and that's recorded and added to your file for our review. We use it with as we say, a light touch. It's used in part to gauge English language ability. So we don't require the TOEFL, we don't require the IELTS or any other formal English language test, which is expensive and time consuming. Instead, we have the video questions, and then after that, the interview. The video questions don't take the place of the interview for us to be able to measure that, so that it's a much simpler, more straightforward way for us to do that. Less of a burden on you all, less of a burden on us to have to manage. So that happens after the application submission, and then, as I said, it does not take the place of the interview. The next step is the interview that happens throughout the round by invitation of the admissions committee. If you are thinking about applying. We are in the middle of our round 1 now, the first deadline. Round 2 is the next one and coming up in January of 2026. And then we have our 3rd application round in April. And what I would say, we could talk more about the timing, but the general advice we give is apply when you have your strongest application prepared. You don't have to rush to apply by January. If you're ready by January, that's great. That's our biggest round. That's when most people apply. But if you're not ready by January, you can wait until April if you need time to take a test or get a recommendation or gain more work experience, whatever that is. So that's a little bit about the application process. And I think I'll hand it back over. And I'm happy to take questions afterwards about that.
You can pause for questions right after this. So this is my little plug for the program that you're not here necessarily to talk about today, but I welcome you to learn more about. So our Master's in Asset Management program is relatively new. An MBA you could think of as a generalized degree. You're learning broad-based business and management leadership content. The Master's in Asset Management is a specialized master's degree with a real specific focus on the field of asset management and investments. I'm going to be hosting a separate session today from 4 to 5, which you're welcome to stay for if you'd like to learn more about it. I would just ask if you haven't signed up already, if you could just go back to the front desk and sign up for that event in particular so we can stay in touch afterwards. But just a few words about the asset management program. It's very much tied to our mission, just like our MBA program. The founders of the program were the late David Swenson, who was the longtime chief investments officer for the Yale Endowment and developer of what's known as the Yale model of endowment management, which really informs how most universities manage their endowment, as well as our distinguished finance professor, Toby Moskowitz. And the 2 of them really believe that asset management is a field where, as they said, you can do well and do good. So it's an area in which enormous wealth can be generated, but that wealth can also be leveraged towards a positive impact for business and society. So that was really the foundation for this program. It's a 1-year program. It's quantitatively intense and really focused on combining the best of academic theory and practice. So the core courses in the curriculum were established specifically for this program, very focused on the investment space, and those are primarily taught by our finance faculty. And then the elective courses, many of them bring in industry practitioners, so people who are using these concepts in their day-to-day jobs. So again, blending the best of academic theory and industry practice. It is a STEM designated program, and should mention also our entire MBA program is STEM designated. And so giving you potentially an option to extend your work horizon if you're looking to work in the US after graduating from your degree. And I should mention there's a joint degree option for the MBA and the asset management program. So you can actually earn both of those degrees in the space of 2 years. You would spend your first year in the MBA core that Bruce walked you through with the organizational perspectives courses, and then you would spend your entire elective year, that second year, in the asset management program, completing both the core and elective aspects of that course. And then you graduate with 2 degrees in that period of 2 years. So again,
it's wonderful to be here in Beijing. I haven't been since 2019, so it's been a long time since I've been back, and I think this is your first time. So we're thrilled and so thankful for the Yale Center for hosting us, CU and others, to host us here at this beautiful space. We were actually previously just coming from Shanghai and Hong Kong before that, and had a wonderful trip throughout those cities to meet prospective students and current applicants. So it's wonderful to be here, and we do appreciate the hospitality.